What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Superpower Review, the comic book show that brings you news and reviews. I'm your host, Kevin Vidina, and before we get to my guest and talk about the Spider-Man Homecoming review, I have one quick announcement, and that is that I want to thank the Comic Book Fiend Club for all the shares on yesterday's show. If you did not watch yesterday's show, you can watch it on YouTube. We talked about donating comic books to the men and women who are in the military. If you have comic books that you would like to donate, these are the people to contact right here, and you can also contact the Comic Book Fiend Club on Instagram, so I want to thank them for that. And also, if you are a deployed soldier, you can contact the Comic Book Fiend Club and get free donated comics, which is great. So with that, thank you, Comic Book Fiend Club, for all the love and support that you gave the show yesterday. The post got over 30 shares. I love it, and more people are subscribing to the show, which is great. So, with that business down, let's get down to Spider-Man Homecoming. I brought my guest, Ryan Walsh, on the show. Ryan, what's going on, my friend?
How's it going? How's it going?
It's going. It's going. I wanted to bring you on the show today because you, sir, are a huge Spider-Man fan, just like I am. And I thought it would have been perfect to bring you on the show to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Heck yeah, man. Dude, I'm excited to be on the show, and let me tell you, like, this movie is awesome. I'm so excited to talk about it. Really excited.
Me too. So, I went to go see Spider-Man Homecoming twice. Okay, I saw it one time in 3D, and the second time I saw it with a friend, and not 3D. How many times did you see it?
God, I saw it the same amount of time, man. I saw it twice. I saw it the first time. See, I didn't see it in 3D. I usually try to stay away from 3D movies, but I saw it once in regular theater, 2D, and then I saw it in IMAX, just 2D IMAX. I tell you right now, dude, it was awesome on the IMAX screen alone. I love just going to IMAX.
I'm sure.
And dude, it was such a spectacular movie. Honestly, like from beginning to end, I was so happy.
I'm sure. Just like what you said, I try to stay away from 3D movies as well because I really don't feel like they have it down to a science really yet, because some things can be really blurred out, and plus it really bothers my eyes. So I actually liked my 2D experience better than my 3D experience. So, Spider-Man Homecoming, made $117 million over the weekend. It was the biggest movie this weekend, and also has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of a 93%, and IMDb gives it an 8.1. Do you agree with what they have to say about this movie?
The budget, how much they made definitely is, I think that's kind of, with the last Spider-Man movies, I feel like with the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and all that, I feel as though they didn't make as much money as this one, like in their first weekend. I mean, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head the numbers, but I think people really are getting drawn more to the Marvel Studios aspect of it. People are general audiences that aren't like me and you that don't really know what Marvel Studios is. I think they're actually getting more in tune to it, and they're like, Marvel Studios made this movie, they made the Avengers, they made all this stuff, I got to go see it. And the marketing had Iron Man all over it, so that makes sense. But the ratings, 8.2, I'd boost it up to at least a 9 on IMDb, but Rotten Tomatoes score totally makes sense to me. I agree with all the critics on this movie. It really is just a phenomenal movie, and it's a phenomenal Spider-Man / Peter Parker movie. And it's not all explosions. It's also like a John Hughes feel to the movie, where they have Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They had little Easter eggs to that, and then same with the Breakfast Club. So I thought they did a really, really good job with this movie.
They really did, and I'm glad you mentioned Easter eggs. For me, personally, I think this was the easiest Marvel movie to spot out Easter eggs. And let's jump ahead real quick, and let's talk about the Easter eggs. Actually, what was one of your favorite Easter eggs that you found in this movie?
All right. I mean, there is a lot of Easter eggs, and I actually it's so funny that you mentioned that because I have them like all written down, so I didn't forget.
Too.
I was like, God, I gotta write them all down because there's so many. But yeah, I agree. They were pretty easy. If you're a Spider-Man fan, it's pretty easy to like know like when they're doing an Easter egg. But I think like my favorite isn't even like the biggest reveal. Honestly, it was just Mac Gargan, the Scorpion, just kind of teasing that villain. And honestly, I never thought that villain would be in a Spider-Man movie. And the thing is, like, he's not really, suited up as Scorpion, but he's just Mac Gargan in the movie teasing like more villains to come. So I personally think that was probably the standout in my opinion. But of course, there's tons more.
There's tons more, yeah. And that was a good one. My favorite Easter egg is when, the Vulture knocks down the pillars to get the ceiling to fall down on Spider-Man, and he is surrounded and trapped with all the, the debris. And that was just a very famous Amazing Spider-Man cover, which is, I believe, is number 33.
I think you're right about it. Yeah, I think you're right.
I believe it's the Amazing Spider-Man number 33, and we have an image up here on the screen where you can see. I love that was one of my favorites. I love that they, this is a new thing, and for the generation of comic book movies, we are seeing scenes in a movie that are paying tribute to these comic book covers, which I absolutely love. Batman vs. Superman has, Frank Miller's tribute to The Dark Knight Returns. So I really like seeing this, and I really would like to see more of that.
Honestly, yeah, me too. I mean, I think, when I was growing up, the first superhero movie I ever saw in theaters was the original Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And yeah, they had probably like one little nod to it, but it isn't as much as now. Like, no. I feel like studios and like, Hollywood right now is really, they're not afraid to put out these comic book like nods and like the covers kind of going on in the screen, and everything that most studios kind of try to modernize all these characters and try to make them look so much different. Now it's kind of full reverse where they're making them look just like they were in comic books. And I personally think it's like the golden age of superhero movies right now.
It really is.
We're getting a bunch of them right now, and I think it's not going to stop for a very long time because they're the most popular movies right now.
They really are. And you know what? They're making the studios money.
Exactly, yeah.
They know the fans want it. They know the fans are going to pay for it, and they know they're going to make a lot of money off of it.
I totally agree, man. They're making billions right now. It's crazy money. Crazy money.
So now that we got into our favorite Easter eggs, let's talk about the plot of the movie.
Yep.
What were some of the things that you liked about the movie, and do you have any dislikes about this movie?
I really try to make sure that I'm not just like fanboying out. I'm actually being a little more critical of the movie and really talking about that and what I disliked about it. The only thing I can say that I disliked about the movie is really, I think some parts like the CGI wasn't up to par. Like it looked fake. It did, big time. Of course it's fake, but it wasn't like the best CGI ever at some points. But it's like at that point, like I'm nitpicking. I thought, that's really all I have for like negatives for the movie. I can't think of anything else. But favorite plot points, just when Michael Keaton's Vulture was just introduced as Liz's dad.
Yeah.
Right there, I had a big smile on my face when that happened. I was like, oh crap, this is a completely different movie now. I was like,
what? Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Huge twist that I personally didn't see that coming, and I don't think anyone really saw it coming. And I thought, just that was I think the cherry on top of this movie was Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Yeah,
he was he put such a great performance in the character that to many, he's corny. The Vulture's a corny character. Adrian Toomes isn't really that cool of a character, but in this movie they made him cool, and that's why I'm excited for all these other characters like Mac Gargan's Scorpion. He's gonna be cool, because they just know how to make these characters awesome, and I'm super excited that Vulture was done right.
Yeah, totally. Michael Keaton is a great actor, and he really did a really good job. He didn't go over the top with the character, and he really did the character at some justice, because, like you said, the Vulture is really not a fan favorite villain of the Spider-Man comics. So I totally have to agree with what you said there. For your dislike about Spider-Man looking fake sometimes, and not really the movie studio, Marvel not getting the CGI looking good or sometimes fake on Spider-Man, I have to agree with that, because there are some parts where Spider-Man totally looked like he was really bad looking and fake. When he was doing the video, the beginning scene when he was doing the video.
Yes, exactly.
And Civil War, saying like, "Okay, guys, like I gotta go now." That looked horrible. I think. I mean, not horrible, but it did not look good.
Yeah, no, that you literally like you said it right for me, because it's like that's the one scene that I was really like trying to talk about, because it's like that one. Yeah, it did not look good at all. Totally agree with you.
That did not look like a person in a suit.
Yeah, it's just, oh god, I can't. Yeah, that was in like a trailer as well, and like I thought maybe they'd touch it up a little bit more, but no, that's what you get in the movie, and I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not a good like Spidey look.
No, and it totally looks identical. Okay, this was my first complaint when I first saw the Civil War trailer where they introduced Spider-Man when he takes Captain America's shield. I said the same exact thing, and it looked exactly like that too. And I said, if Spider-Man really looks like that, Spider-Man does not really look that good.
Mm-hmm.
For one more dislike that I have is that, I understand people really like to get excited about these movies, but I really feel like that some of these studios really need to calm down on some of the hype that these movies get. Because when I was watching this movie, at least 5 times I said to myself, oh, well, this is what's in the trailer. Oh, this is what's in the trailer. And by so many trailers that I got from Spider-Man Homecoming, I kind of had a good idea of what the movie was going to be like, with 2 surprises in the movie. So if they left a lot of the stuff out in the trailer, I would have been more surprised at this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Like, the studios don't know how to stop putting out too much footage. Like, I remember when I always go back to like Age of Ultron, when that was coming out. They put out how many clips? I don't know. There was probably like a good 20 clips out there of the movie, and it's like you're not saving anything for the movie. It's like there's a couple scenes that aren't in the trailer at all, but then like the scenes that are just that's most of the movie, and they just spoil it. And people come across as they're saying. I think there's like 2 sides to this. One saying that like it's too much footage, and then another side says like, well, they're 2-minute spots. Yeah, but when there's 30 spots, that's 60 minutes. I mean, some of it is just recycled footage, but a lot of it's new that we haven't seen. So I totally agree with you on that. And I think studios really need to get in the habit of kind of shooting scenes that aren't in the movie for just a trailer.
Yeah, that too.
I think that'd be a lot better.
They just need enough just to get someone interested to go see the movie. And you know what? That's a great idea. So movie studios, you heard the man Ryan Walsh, do it.
There you go. Yeah, boom.
One thing I did really like too, and a lot of people gave the movie slack because Iron Man is taking Peter Parker under his wing. They didn't like that, but also people did not like that, we don't want to see Uncle Ben dying again. We don't want to see an origin story of Spider-Man, but also they complain about that Tony Stark is in the studio in the movie and helping Peter Parker, where I really feel like they have no justice to complain, because if you don't want the same thing, then the studio really has to create something new for the movie. And I really thought they did a great job with that. I wasn't a big fan of it at first, but when I did watch the movie, I really enjoyed it. You have to make something different from all the other movies that Sony made as well. So I really liked the whole father figure that Tony Stark is giving to Peter Parker.
Yeah, definitely. No, I like honestly with that whole thing, the market. I think that's also in the marketing of the movie too.
That too.
Where I personally was nervous because I was like, are they just going to make Iron Man come down and save him every 5 seconds? And he does through the first half of the movie. He does. He saves him twice. Saves him like once in the river when the Vulture just kind of had him up in the sky, and then he saves him with the boat. And it didn't bother me while I was watching the movie, but the marketing and all that definitely. But I totally agree with you. I think people need to, if they watch the movie and said, well, why is like Tony Stark the father figure? Well, it's like you didn't want Uncle Ben.
Yeah, right.
So I totally agree with you. Like you can't. I mean, he does have to have something to kind of like influence him because that's who Peter Parker is. He had Uncle Ben to influence him, and that's why he is Spider-Man.
Right, exactly.
Because of Uncle Ben.
And it kind of does go into the roots. If you can see behind me, I have True Believer comics of the Amazing Fantasy and the Amazing Spider-Man #1. And when Peter Parker first gets his powers and becomes Spider-Man, he's trying to fit in. And who does he go to? He goes to the Fantastic Four. And so that's kind of the role that Tony Stark is playing in this movie. So they do go to his roots a little bit. He's a brand new superhero. He's trying to find a place in New York. He's trying to become, trying to prove himself that he can be a top hero and wants to become an Avenger. As we know in the comic books, Peter Parker tries to become an Avenger and does get denied, but he does eventually become a part of the Avengers for a couple of series, but does get denied a lot to be an Avenger. Really cool. And what I want to before we run out of time, I do want to touch base on one more subject too. How did you feel about Spider-Man Suit?
Which one in particular? All of them, or like the one at the end?
Not the one at the end yet. I know you're excited to talk about just as I am.
Definitely.
I want to know what you thought about all of the upgrades that Spider-Man has in his suit in this movie, because in other Sony movies, it's just a one-piece suit. His suit doesn't really help him in anything. It's just a Spider-Man suit. And in this one, Spider-Man has a lot of upgrades.
They should have saved it. That's what I have to say about it. They should have saved that for the suit at the end of the movie that we'll get to. But it didn't really bother me all that much. But at the same time, I'm used to the classic Spidey, or even, just any Spider-Man throughout all the comic books. He's never really had that kind of suit where it's, telling him all this kind of stuff. It's like it's just him. That's what I thought it was always really cool in the comic books. It's like he doesn't need all these gadgets. I mean, he had like spider tracers and obviously his webs, but other than that, like he did it all himself. And I think he was kind of like a crutch in a way, and I felt like I don't know. I think that kind of took away from the character. So I'll probably actually say that's probably one of my little nitpicking negatives of the movie as well. Now that you bring it up, because it's, once again, it's just that's not really what Spider-Man would do, and you wouldn't use that kind of technology. And I think that is kind of Tony Stark putting a little too much into the Spider-Man character, and maybe they should have just left that alone. But again, what you said, like, one of the words you used to describe like this movie was different, and this movie is different. It's different than the Sam Raimi ones, different than the Andrew Garfield, Mark Webb movies, because it's just they had to do something different because you've seen all those other ones,
because they can't just keep doing the same thing. I liked what you just said about the suit, but me personally, I'm excited about the Spider-Man suit upgrades. I really felt like, I really do. I think we're in the 21st century. I think Spider-Man is due for upgrades on the suit. So for me personally, I don't like web shooters. I've always thought that Spider-Man should have had organic webbing, but this movie made me love web shooters. Do I think Spider-Man needed 500 plus combinations of different webbing? No.
Yeah.
But I did like the taser web. That is so cool.
That's useful. That's really useful for him, though.
Very useful. I love the web grenades. So, the upgrades and just his webbing alone was really cool. And I think I could have done without Karen, the artificial intelligence. I think I could have done without her. But she was a comedic part of the movie. She was comic relief. But, the spider tracer I thought was really cool. And, like I said, I really felt like it was time for some change in the Spider-Man suit just to, instead of just being his costume. It serves a purpose, and I really liked it a lot. The eyes are cool, and, the tracer, so I really loved this suit. And you know what? When I did my first reaction video on Spider-Man Homecoming, I wasn't really sure about the upgrades on the suit, but after watching this movie, really loved the upgrades.
Yeah, if anything, they definitely did. They didn't make it like, it wasn't so forced. Like, it was a part of the movie, so I get what you mean about that, but I agree with you with the eyes, though. The eyes, I absolutely love what they're doing with the eyes.
Yeah.
How it shows emotion. Even from Civil War, I loved it, because you can tell, there's a lot of talk saying there wasn't any spider sense in the movie, and I do understand what people are saying, like, they didn't have that scene where everything slows down, but I felt like in Civil War, when he was, like, dodging stuff, his eyes would widen, and he would, like, understand there's something behind him or something.
There's something going on.
I think it's there, but like they didn't really have a whole scene about it. So
yeah, I don't know why they didn't show the spider sense, and I did notice that too. So we're down to our last 5 minutes. Let's talk about that last suit, that last Easter egg that everybody loves. So
yes,
Iron Spider suit. What did you think of it, and how excited did you get?
All right, so I'm a guy that I usually don't like it when people touch the Spider-Man suit and do all this crazy stuff. When I saw that suit, I was losing my mind. I thought it looked amazing. It didn't look just like the one in the comic books.
No.
Because they had like 4 little robotic arms on the back of it in the comic books. But this one, you can tell this is a huge Easter egg to what is to come in Avengers Infinity War. He's definitely going to be wearing this suit in Avengers Infinity War. If he's going to take on Thanos, he has to have the best suit possible.
Exactly.
And it looked awesome. It looks so good.
And this is another thing about what I think about suit, too, and speaking of upgrades. But, again, we're in the 21st century, and as you notice, as you see in comic books and movies, superhero costumes are getting bulkier and bigger and more armored. And that's another thing, too. I think Spider-Man definitely needs to be armored, especially with the villains that he has and that he fights and, fights up against. So to see an armored suit, an armored Spider-Man suit, yes, thank you. Yep. And I absolutely love the design of that suit. It's not like you said about, it doesn't look like what it is in the comics, but I do really like the design, and I really think it's cool.
I was actually, the thing is, though, when they did show it, it doesn't look exactly like it, but I think every Spider-Man fan knew that's the Iron Spider suit that we have all been waiting to see.
Exactly.
Like, everybody was speculating it might be in Civil War when that was coming out, but now we're going to be getting it I definitely think it's confirmed that we're going to get it in Avengers Infinity War and
totally.
Avengers 4.
And if they didn't use it for Infinity War, then they would be stupid.
Exactly, yeah.
They would.
That'd be really big mistake, a huge mistake for the movie.
All right, Ryan, we're down to our last couple of minutes. Okay, so on Superpower Review, when we review something, okay, I like to use the CGC grading tier in order to review something, to give it a grade. So what grade would you give, Spider-Man Homecoming?
If I had to choose a grade, I would give the movie a 9.4. There are a couple things about the movie that did bother me just a little bit, but it just didn't really do that much to me where it bothered me so much that I just didn't like that one part of the movie that was in. It's very nitpicky. So overall, this movie is phenomenal, and it definitely deserves a really high grade.
So if you haven't seen it yet, you better see it, okay? You have to go watch it, and I hope you didn't watch this episode before you went to go see the movie.
You get all the spoilers.
Spoilers. I'll put spoiler alert on the thing, but yeah, I would have to agree with your grade. I would definitely give it. I'm actually going to step it down one notch, and I'm going to give it a 9.2. And that's because, you know, there were some parts, you know, I understand it's Spider-Man and it's got to be PG-13 and kid-friendly, but there were some times, like with the comedic jokes that certain characters had, that I was like, like that wasn't really that funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9.2, definitely in the 9 range. Ryan, we're running out of time, and I want you to give the opportunity to tell people how they can see cool things that you have on Instagram, and I know that you're a YouTuber as well, so why don't you tell viewers on how they can watch you?
So you guys can follow me basically on all social medias at Webhead2456, but I also have my own YouTube channel. It's called Webhead. If you look up Webhead, I'm the first one that comes up. So guys, definitely check out my channel. Definitely worth it. Promise you.
It is worth it, and I subscribe to your channel and I watch your stuff. And you do a fantastic job on your reviews and your reaction videos. You do a really great job. And I really want to thank you for being on the show today and giving a great review with me on Spider-Man Homecoming.
Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate being on the show, and I love all your work. I love the set. I just love your show all together. Thanks for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at KarateKevin67. If you like to be a potential guest like my good friend Ryan Walsh was on the show today, you can email the show at superpowerreview9@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And if you don't want to be on the show and if you want to just submit a topic, that's also fine too. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.